Thank you for tuning into the Generational Gauntlet Top 5 Faves. This is the podcast where we give you our top 5 on a topic with a generational twist to it. My name is Matt Lambert, and I'm the host of this podcast. Each week, I bring in a guest who's from a different generation than me to discuss or debate our top 5 on a selected topic. Today, I am bringing someone onto the podcast that I've wanted to have on for a long time. When you're growing up, everyone has what we call that fun uncle. This was a guy who let me shoot my first gun, had me star in some of his feature films like The Blob, and joined my dad in teaching me how to swim by throwing me in the middle of the deep end of the pool and hoping I stayed afloat. So without further ado, I bring you all my Uncle Mark, a Gen Xer, an entrepreneur. So Uncle Mark, I gotta ask, how have things been going your way?
No, they've been going well. Enjoy hearing the memories there. Prior to us jumping on here, I was explaining. I guess I'm continuing that tradition. Now it's my grandkids, and they're all here running around and don't understand why the fun grandpa is busy on a Saturday morning. But I think they'll get over it. But they're a little confused at the moment.
All good. Well, one of the listeners to the podcast requested a topic on quotes and said those quotes should probably be broken into different types and different episodes. So as part of that request, we're going to be doing our top 5 favorite movie quotes today. And when I thought of who was the one person that I would want to chat with about movie quotes, my Uncle Mark came to mind. As I mentioned in the intro, my uncle used to use his old school giant camcorder to make movies, typically featuring aliens and getting to star me as a protagonist attacking people or bad guys. Am I 5 or maybe I was 6, however old I was, I loved it. So Uncle Mark, I gotta ask, back in the day, in these movies I got to star in, what got you into making all those movies?
I guess when I was younger. As you've said on some of the other podcasts, my dad was a big sports guy, and to my chagrin, or whatever the appropriate word would be, I didn't really and look forward every year to the sports. I was more of an art guy. I
Okay.
like anything artistic, and when the camcorder came out, your dad and I would fight over who got it. So we would kind of agree because that was a rarity. No one had that. No one understands how their access to video now is unbelievable, and our access to pictures. People are going to miss the fact of like when I go up to my mother-in-law's, she still has the family photo albums, and those are rare. And those aren't.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to wish we had those if there's a problem. But my point being a camcorder, it looked like well, you remember it. It looked like something from a TV station. It
It
was
did.
huge. It used the old big VHS cassette. And when it was my week to have it, when your dad didn't have it, we would make a little claymation and videos. Bob and a friend of mine, David Powell, we learned how to make it freeze. And so the first thing we did with it, we were able to make like claymation, animation, just like the
Mm-hmm.
movies. And it would take days to do a 10-second scene. And we loved it. And then we learned you could put video effects on it, and it was just neat. And, I'm a big kid, was then, still am now. And you and Amanda were the stars of the show. Rachel, it was kind of coming to an end as Rachel came along. My daughter,
Mm-hmm.
my oldest daughter, she's a little younger than you two, but yeah, maybe you have them. And there's lots of them. Bob and I made those for many years before you came along. You hadn't been born yet. And we would drag my mom in and do magic tricks where you could pause the camera and she'd disappear from under the blanket. She would humor me and Bob. We would film my dad asleep in the chair. We would put Q-tips in between his toes, and then he would want to kill me and Bob the next day. The camera was great. And Greg Wagner, a good friend of mine, he and I would take it to the mall. And that we weren't supposed to, it was not supposed to leave the house. Or wherever, they deemed it shouldn't leave, and it left the house way more than it should with Greg
Yeah.
Wagner and I. He also would love to go interview people. He was way ahead of the times. We would go to the mall, and he would upset people by asking them random questions in the mall. How was your day at the mall? So that's where all that stemmed from. We loved that camera.
I was gonna say, I don't think I have like your earliest work, but I do have a disc that has the Blob on there. It's got me with an alien like picking me up from one of the rooms at Grandpa and Grandma's house back in Proctorville, Ohio, and I'm like being transported to the yard. Alpha's in a video, so you had some really cool effects going on. And it kinda leads me into, like, what style of movies were you watching during that time or during your childhood?
Well, my wife likes to make fun of me. I'm not ashamed to share I was a mama's boy, if you wanna call it that. So out of our grandkids, I'll use them as an example. Jameson, my stepdaughter, Shelby, her oldest son is Jameson, and he is a wild man. He is every bit of a boy you can be. And looking back, recalling you at that age, you were, I guess, a mama's boy like me. You wanted
Mhm.
you weren't as adventurous as Jameson. And his sister, who's 2 years younger, he's 6. He has twin brother and sister, Jack and Rayleigh. Rayleigh also is a wild woman. I mean, they're up for anything. We don't allow them to watch certain things on TV, but they would. It
Yeah.
wouldn't bother them. Jack, Rayleigh's brother, is terrified of everything, and that's how I was. So when I was little, I was scared of Fantasy Island. Do you know what Fantasy Island was?
I do. I
Well,
do.
Diana loves that because she was raised on horror movies, and, like, I'll tell you right now, I'm not if I was to watch a horror movie with somebody, I would probably enjoy it. If it was corny, especially like you and Nick did a horror movie,
Mhm.
top 5. You would not find me home alone watching a horror movie. I don't need to if I feel alone, I don't wanna not feel alone by scaring myself. And I don't think it's that I would be scared. I don't enjoy those, but it's gotta stem from I was terrified of them when I was little, you know?
Yeah.
So, those don't make my list. I couldn't relate to a lot of those. I'll watch them on request with someone else. I always liked the sci-fi stuff.
Mhm.
I like Star Wars. I liked any of those adventure movies like that. I remember the cartoons of, like, The Lord of the Rings. Most people don't know that came out as a cartoon a long, long time
Yeah.
ago, The Last Unicorn, and my mom was like that. I picked that up from my mom, from Ruth, and we would watch documentaries. You know, she would tell my dad, Larry, you have to give us the TV, and we would watch anything about animals, and stuff none of the other kids wanted to watch. You know, I was a little, I guess, eccentric at a young age. I had a few friends that were. The most of them were not, so she would be sure to humor me, but not really humor me because she enjoyed it as well. So I
Yeah.
loved all that. But now as I'm older, you only have so much time in the day. I don't watch a lot of fiction. I still
Okay.
watch, like, The Mandalorian. I still watch a new Star Wars if it comes out, but you won't catch me watching a lot of fictional stuff. If I'm
Got
gonna
it.
watch something, I'd like to learn something at this
Makes
age.
total sense. Well, that's a good segue because I want some people to learn a little bit about the things that you're doing before we jumped into our top fives today. Because I mentioned it on the front end. You're a West Virginia native. You live in West Virginia now. You're a West Virginia based entrepreneur. You have multiple businesses and a charity event that are about to go on right now. So, wanted to ask you some questions about some of your businesses. And number one, you're the 50% owner of Deskin's Candies, which are made in West Virginia. And we've talked about them on the podcast before, but could you take a moment and educate the listeners about what all you all are doing, what you're selling?
Yeah, Deskins has been in business about 30 years. It's a pretty well known product. I wouldn't
Hmm.
put it up there with, say, Buzz buttered steaks. It's not quite there. It's not quite custard stand chili, but it is a popular candy that we make fudge, no bakes, peanut butter balls, and pinwheels. Now it's a very nostalgic product. I've been in food service in the logistics side with my logistics company for about 30 years, so I've been around food. We ended up doing some work for Deskins. A side business, I guess. I'm kind of jumping ahead of what you've probably laid out. I came to work with Deskins through another company of mine, AMG, and while I was working with them, I was just operating as a salesman. I told them I'd help them try to grow their company. Bob
Yeah.
Deskins in Bluefield was the owner at the time. I think he was near 80 and in good shape, still working, still involved. He wanted to grow his business, and I this is a nice little story, I guess. I started going out and trying to sell that they make 2 sizes. If you go into a Kroger, a grocery store is where most people are gonna be familiar with Deskins. You'll especially see it near Christmas.
Hmm.
When you run to the store to get your holiday candy, Deskins is out on the table with the other fudge and peanut butter balls for Christmas. And he hoped to get it into more of a convenience store retail setting other than just the grocery stores. So they make an 8 ounce that he sold to a couple of small convenience stores in Bluefield, but that's the only place he sold that version of the candy. And I thought, well, let me try to do something with it. I went out and was working with retailers and the
Hmm.
distribution centers, and we had no problem selling his candy and landed him lots of new business. But what I didn't realize, this was all happening during COVID.
Yeah.
It was on the tail end of COVID. We had just all we were still somewhat quarantined. People weren't abiding by it, I guess. Here in West Virginia, at no point were we told to stay in our house, but we all remember those years. And while I was out selling it, the candy sold extremely well. And Bob would ask me, "How are you selling my candy in the summer?" So what I didn't realize is Deskins used to be a seasonal candy. It was
Hmm.
only bought in around the holidays. Now people would pick it up throughout the year. Fudge is popular at the beach, but no one's eating fudge right now or no bakes. Well, I didn't know. I told Bob, "I don't know why I'm selling it so well." And to come to find out, I saw on the news that during COVID, liquor, cigarettes, beer, and gourmet candy had the most all-time high sales of ever in their existence of being sold due to being quarantined. If you got out
Yeah.
of the house, you were gonna reward yourself. So, from there, Bob never would believe that that's why I was such a good salesman. It had nothing to do with me, and it got it some brand recognition. People started buying it regularly. He offered to
Hmm.
bring me on as a partner, and then from there, Bob, sadly passed away a few years later. His health declined quickly. His son and the other owners brought me on board,
Yeah.
and since that time, we created a co-packer to keep up with the production of making the 8 ounce. The
Hmm.
co-packer offered to buy out the other parties, so now the co-packer, Corey Facemeyer in Sutton, West Virginia, he and his family, they make it, I sell it, and the two of us own it now is the current status of Deskins.
Nice. And where all can people find Deskin's candies? Like it in West Virginia? Like, is there anywhere outside of West Virginia they can find it, or is it solely in Dubv right now?
It's growing. You're mainly going to find it in West Virginia,
Hmm.
at your Kroger, at Parmar, Little General. Go-Mart is a huge supporter of us. It's in every
Okay.
Go-Mart you go in. Uh, we work also with Food Fair supermarkets. It's known by several names in our area. A lot of people know
Hmm.
it as Tower, even though that's just one store. They support us and carry it. Kroger's, I mentioned already, is a big one, and then we're
Okay.
expanding, we just picked up a new account, Huck's, which is a big convenience store chain out in Illinois,
Yeah.
so we're moving to Indiana and Illinois, but for the
Nice.
most part, you're gonna find it in your grocery stores on the table with the other fudge items, and then
Yeah.
the convenience store chains here, Parmar, Go-Mart, the biggest supporter, and Little General.
And you mentioned AMG when you were talking about how you got affiliated with Deskins, and AMG is Appalachian Marketing Group, which you're the sole owner of. Can you talk a little bit about I mean, you've talked a little bit about how you got involved with Deskins through that company, but how do you, like, what does that company do, AMG? Like, how do you help West Virginia companies?
My main business is CMJ, that's my
Hmm.
logistics company, and we ebb and flow through the year. Where I mentioned we're in food service, a lot of our customers are school related, and
Yeah.
schools close down in the summer, so my logistics food service company is kind of bored, as are its employees in the summer. And from there, to fill our time, we raised peppers one year. I had a background as a farmer, and we
Hmm.
raised and sold peppers, and we look for other things to do, like Deskins. Deskins asked, "Hey, with all of your relationships in food service, can you help us out?"
Yeah.
Well, CMJ is a transportation related company, and to transact and do what we do with some companies, we created the Appalachian Marketing Group. It actually was given to me. There's a pepperoni roll in our area called Papoli's,
Hmm.
and the owner and I were working together. He owned that; he wasn't using it. It stands for Appalachian Marketing Group, and so what we do beyond the selling Deskins, I help other companies. We will help them target certain markets, go out, meet with them, and try to help them get their products on the shelf.
Yeah.
Somebody will have a barbecue sauce that they don't know what to do with. They're wanting to get it to where it's finally on the shelf, and we can help them with that every step of the way. As far as put them in touch with the West Virginia State people to get it the safety testing done, then put them in touch with GS1 to get their barcodes, then put them in touch with retailers, get them an audience with the retailers, get them an audience with the food service distributors that deliver to the retailers, and then help them get their products out there. We don't really do it for just anyone. We're a smaller company. Some big ones are we represent Papoli's, the pepperoni rolls. We work with Buzz Food Service. He distributes our products, as do a few others. We work with a Specialty Baker's Creamhorn, and then of course our own company, Deskins, and then we work with Custard Stand Chili, Buffalo Dip's a little guy. We're in
Hmm.
Ohio, so you'll see that small select mix of mainly Appalachian companies. If they're made in Appalachia, they fit well with the whole Appalachian marketing group theme.
Yeah, and before we get into the charitable organization you're part of, is there anything else that you'd like people to know about the businesses that you're operating in West Virginia?
No, not particularly. The
Okay.
biggest is the one we've spoke the least on, but there's really nothing to share there. It's CMJ. We do some logistics work. If
Hmm.
if our audience was a consumer and it's not, we work for businesses, then I guess would do a name drop or mention a
Okay.
website to go to. But Deskins is the big one that the people are going to the people that would listen to this would be familiar with.
Okay. Well, I will definitely include information on Deskins in the episode description and on social media when this podcast episode drops. Now, one thing we've not talked about yet is you are currently the president of the Charleston Huntington area manufacturer representatives. And number one, what does that organization do generally?
What they are, they're a not for profit and similar to I think you know what your dad's into. I think it's called BNI.
Hmm.
It's a little bit like that, but not nearly as involved. What chammer is what I call it. Everybody calls it something different. Some people say each letter CHAMR. Some say the entire name as you did. I call it chammer.
Chamber, okay.
It's it's a networking group, so we get together, we'll have a breakfast in the spring and occasionally a breakfast in the fall, and at that breakfast, we will invite a speaker who is enticing to people in the food service world, which could be
Hmm.
selling business cards, making signs for a business. Parmar Brian Wall, really great speaker, he often would do it. We've also had Tim Forth with Food Fair Supermarkets. We've had Fruth. Historically, we had Kent Leonhardt, the Agriculture Commissioner of West Virginia, and the members get together. They get about a half hour to meet people they normally would struggle to meet, and then they'll speak. That person will tell you what's going on in their business.
Yeah.
GoMart is now one that we do the breakfast for, and that's our networking side of it. And we'll do some one-off stuff besides it, but once a year we have a big golf tournament, and the
Okay.
golf tournament's where we raise our money. So all of the money that we raise, we then donate it to a list of charities that we support.
Oh,
So
nice.
the money we raise from the breakfasts, and then any money we raise at the golf event, and then we've done a cornhole tournament as well. We donate that to most of it are food bank. Like you have
Hmm.
the Mountaineer Food Bank in Sutton, Facing Hunger Food Bank, Mason Food Pantry, but then also everyone's volunteering their time. So as we pick up other people to help us, have other volunteers, especially if they become a board member, then we'll ask them, do you have a charity you'd like us to donate to?
Yeah.
So there's some outside of the food group there. We like Children's Home Society of West Virginia. We donate to them. One of our board members adopted his daughter through their programs.
Oh, very nice.
He asked us to support it. I asked that we support the Gateway Recovery House. I did some
Hmm.
work with them. I myself am a recovered addict, so
Yeah.
I chose that one. Neither of those are food related, but for the most part, we give to all the Union Mission, Man of Mills. There's about 10 or 15 groups, and I think we raise 20 to 30, maybe on a good year, $40,000, and then we'll have a Christmas party that gets everybody together. That's for the small businesses. It
Yeah.
creates a Christmas atmosphere. Like I can't afford to do a big Christmas party, so well, all of the Chamber members who want, they'll come to that Christmas party. It's at Berry Hills Country Club, and then we announce what we raised, who we're giving the money to, and then make sure to get those out right around. We call them our Christmas charities.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned the golf outing. You've got that coming up soon. Could you talk a little bit more about that outing and how if people wanted to contribute or participate, how they could do so?
Yes. I don't know our website. If you don't mind, I'll pull it up while we're
Yeah,
talking.
absolutely.
Um, Well, you can go on it to get more information, or I can supply my email. Really, is where most of the communications come from.
Hmm.
There's Christy Ramsey and myself. As we meet people who are interested, we add them to our distribution list, and email out about the golf tournament. It takes place every year in September. This
Hmm.
year, it is on September the 11th. It's at the Riverside Golf Course in Mason, West Virginia.
Hmm.
Our website is www.chamrwv.org. So www.chamrwv.org, and you can find the details there. Um, you can you can support us by putting in a team. You can support us by donating to the organization in any amount you'd like. We have a set amount where we'll put up a company's sign at each tee box. I think for $200 you can sponsor a hole, people, and then of course volunteering time or food at any of our events, like the breakfast I mentioned and the golf tournament. All of these food service companies I've named, they supply the food generally. That way people don't just hear about them and see a sign. You can go have a Brunetti's in Canova's hoagie bun and eat some Angelo's Italian sausage on the bun. So
Yeah. Well, and I'm looking at your website right now, and I love you all have listed on there the charities that you support. So if people are looking for, a complete list of who you all are donating this money to, there's information there. You've got the upcoming events listed with the golf outing. So yeah, I'll definitely include the website in the episode description as well, so that people can see all the good things that you all are doing and help contribute to a really great mission. So, Uncle Mark, I appreciate, before we hopped into the top fives today, you humoring me with some questions about your businesses and your charitable work, but I thought that was very important for people to hear. So, for any of the first time listeners to the podcast that haven't checked us out before, here's how this whole thing generally works. So, today, my Uncle Mark and I have each put together our own list for our top five favorite movie quotes. Now, I don't know anything about my Uncle Mark's list. He doesn't know anything about mine. He'll kick things off. He'll give us his number five quote and why that's his number five quote. I'll give my number five and why, and we'll keep working in that order until we get to each of our number ones. So with that, Uncle Mark, I'm going to kick it to you. What was your number five favorite movie quote that you came up with as we were putting together these lists?
well, for me it was tough. I guess that's the first thing to mention. And
Yeah.
you and I discussed this prior to the podcast.
Hmm.
Um, if I'm picking out the topic, you'd ask me, "Hey, let's get on here. Let's pick a topic," and it's got to be something you care about. Like, you all do a lot of sports stuff, and one of your best
Yeah.
podcasts I heard was your dad and you, because you're both passionate about LeBron James and Michael, made for a great podcast.
Yes,
Aubrey loves the movies.
she
Uh,
does.
and that was another longer and great podcast because she's passionate about it. So when we talked, I said that, these movie quotes would be good, and I care a lot about them. You had mentioned sometimes it's not as tough for you. So yeah, if you just said let's do soccer teams, I could have named five based on the color of their uniforms, I guess. You know, so it was tough. I went through a lot of them. It changed a lot,
Hmm.
and as you mentioned, I'm big on movies, and I'm also really big on quotes. But
Yeah.
I would say for me, the number 5 spot would be Knockaround Guys from 2001. Vin Diesel says it, his character's Taylor Reese, and it's 2 parts. I don't know if we just go with the one word or the full sentence, but he says 500 as a question. Have you ever seen that one?
I have not. I'm actually Googling it as you're saying it. I've never seen it.
Okay, it's moved around on my list, and in the movie, he just says 500. And he's in a bar with another guy, and the guy says something, he cusses a little bit and says, "What are you talking about?" And then from there, why 500 matters is he says 500 fights. That's the number, and he alludes to that's how many fights he's been in and why he's such a tough guy. And he's explaining to that guy that's why he's getting ready to just kick his butt all over the place. And I love it because I always picture I wasn't a big fighter when I was younger. We all got into our scuffles, but I had some friends that when we left the house, I think their goal was to get in a fight when we were running around as young men. And I like to always picture them probably telling somebody that, and I bet they did. We were only I was 30 when I think that came out, so it was very popular with me and my male friends, and,
Yeah.
I just pictured them saying that, but it became a very memorable and in my top, and this is important why it became in the top 5 for me, or one of my favorite quotes. My dad coached AAU ball, I think you've mentioned that in the past,
Yep.
and he was very competitive, very.
Uh-huh.
And one year when Rachel, she played for him, my daughter, they had one of their strongest teams, and all of the parents would have liked it if throughout the year when you play in the national, or not the national, the regionals and the tune-up games and getting ready for the only tournament that mattered to him was the nationals.
Yeah.
And during the year, he would have them play up, and the better your team was, the further up he had you play, which the parents never understood, and I helped coach. So I would have to help navigate these upset parents. And we had had a long year of playing as 14-year-olds against 15-year-olds, and right before the nationals, he had us play 16-year-olds, and we got destroyed. And it was just I got a lot of pushback from the parents, no one understood. They were all so upset going into it that I felt something needed done, and my dad would do these thunder updates, and very rarely I would send one out as well, just to our team, never at his level, to all of
Yeah.
his players. Well, so everyone was so upset after that weekend, I quoted this movie in an email, and I sent out what it was about. And when I did that, my wife at the time thought it was silly. She didn't get it. She didn't understand it, and said, "That's not gonna pick anybody up. They are so mad, Mark. It is unbelievable how upset they are," and they were. So I thought, well, maybe it was a silly email. So
Yeah.
we go about a week, and we're headed to the nationals. And in this one event, everyone agreed we would meet and drive down together to Amarillo, Texas, as best we could. And there was about 12 of us, 12 different families. So I know we're getting ready to face these upset parents that are getting ready to tell us how horrible it's been this whole year. And when we begin to all pull in the parking lot where we're meeting, they all had 500 wrote on their car.
Oh, that's
They,
awesome.
they like you, like just married. They had took
Uh-huh.
shoe polish and 500 was on every window. It was great.
Yeah.
They had no idea what how inspirational that quote was to them. So it's
Yeah.
inspired me ever since.
That's awesome. So I definitely can see how that one made your list, and I can see how that, you said it's kinda been all over the place on your list, and, it's interesting. You said this was tough for you. This was a tough list for me too. If you think about movie quotes, there's a lot of just good one-liners, like Shake and Bake, I See Dead People, the first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. But I went, I think, more of a route that maybe your other 4 are similar to this. I went with ones that had to mean something more to me. It couldn't just be, "Oh, it's a great quote." It had to mean something, and my number 5 is from a movie that I've talked about in a previous episode. It's a 2011 MMA movie, Warrior. If anyone listened to episode 18, our top 5 favorite sports movies, this one made the list, and this one might be a little bit of a spoiler. So if somebody hasn't seen this film, now's your time, skip a little bit ahead, because I'm going to give a quote and talk about a fight in this movie. But one of the protagonists in this film, his name is Brendan Conlon, and he's fighting in this tournament in which the winner wins $5 million. And Brendan is about to lose his home. He's suspended from his teaching job because he got caught fighting in MMA to make extra money. So everything in his life is riding on him winning this tournament. And in the semifinals, he goes up against this guy in the movie, the Great Koba, who's being played by Kurt Angle, who looks like he's just a machine in this movie. Brendan's wife Tess is in the audience watching, and after getting pummeled during the first 2 rounds, he returns to his corner while this really inspirational music plays, and his trainer says this. He says, "Are we here to win this fight? You tell me, because if we're not, I'll throw in the towel. We'll get Tess, and we'll go home. Okay? You don't knock him out, you lose the fight. You understand me? You don't knock him out, you don't have a home." And even just saying that, I can imagine the scene in the movie. It gives me goosebumps. It's an epic scene in the movie, but an epic quote for life. Sometimes we just got to go all in a fight, or we're going to lose everything. And I won't say much more about that scene, as I don't want to completely spoil that part of the movie, but I love that scene so much. There are times where I've been in a tough workout and I'm like, I got nothing left to give, and I will watch that scene on my phone before I get into my last superset because it's going to push me to keep going. So that's my number 5. Uncle Mark, I gotta ask, have you ever seen the movie Warrior? 2011
Uh,
MMA movie.
Many times. It's a great
Okay.
movie, so very familiar with it. Yeah, it's a very I agree with you. A great scene. I'm familiar with the scene, and I've seen it many times. And I'm with you. The scene maybe sometimes makes it up. You mentioned we could rattle off some one liners,
Yeah.
but then maybe you should do a top 5 scene because some of them I realized, and I watched them leading up to this. Well, that's a movie scene, without
Yeah.
that, it just y so, yeah, I would highly recommend the top 5 movie scenes
You're giving me
coming in the
more
near
content.
future.
I like it. Well, let me hand it back to you. What made number 4 on your list?
Number 4 for me, which is gonna be more of the one a mainstream one, that
Okay.
everybody's gonna know it, and it's a more of a one-liner. "You're killing me, Smalls." Are you familiar with that and where it comes from?
I am.
Yeah, so it's not that old, it's from 1993. Some of these I looked, you go back to 1939. You can look
Mhm.
at, We're Not in Kansas Anymore, with,
Yeah.
from The Wizard of Oz, and that one's still mentioned. You're Killing Me, Smalls, I think it's gonna have 100 years to go as well. People are gonna say it, have no idea why, they just know that that means you're frustrating me. For me,
Yeah.
that one is so popular, not only because I say it, but as kids, and this isn't something I'm gonna guess this doesn't still occur due to all the available streaming. When you were a kid, you had 1 or 2 movies, I bet, that you watched or your parents had to watch 1,000,000 times over and
Yes.
over and
Yep.
over. This was one of Maddie's. Sandlot was one of my youngest daughter, Maddie. It was one of her movies, and I liked it. Thank the Lord I liked it. So I watched it so many times, and I hear it so often. I always think of her. She has a shirt that says it. It's by Patrick Renna's the guy that says it, but his character is, Ham, Hamilton Ham
Yeah.
Port. And he says it twice, once on the s'mores, moment, and people don't realize that. I think it's most famous when he's trying to get him to say, "Do you want a s'mores?" And he's like, "Some more what?" And he's like, "No, you're killing me, Smalls. Do you want a s'mores?" But then they also the tobacco scene where they all get sick, and he doesn't know
Yeah.
what chew is, and they're saying Big Chief and Chaw, and now it just, if this was 15 years ago, I could quote the entire movie. I watched it so many times with her, but definitely my number 4, due to my memories with my daughter, and because I hear it so often, I don't think it's ever gonna go away, would be You're Killing Me, Smalls.
I think I just heard that at work, this week from somebody, probably directed towards me because I'm that guy that, causes people to feel that way. It's funny, that you talk about a movie that really plays out with you and your daughter. My number 4, a little bit flipped. It's a movie scene that is epic for reminding me of something with me and my dad. So, my dad probably won't be extremely happy that I'm gonna throw out that he's the one that showed me this movie. But one of the darkest movies of all time may be the 1995 film by David Fincher, and it's the movie Seven. And I will not go deep detail on this movie as I don't want to freak out any of the younger audience. But in the penultimate scene, a box is delivered that has something inside of it, and I'll leave it at that. And Brad Pitt's iconic screaming, "What's in the box?" to Morgan Freeman just leaves a mark on your soul. And I think in terms of just movie performances, Mark, you mentioned it, that some of these are more just like an iconic scene versus a quote. But overall movie performance, Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt, the movie Seven, two of the greatest performances I've ever seen in a crime thriller. The whole ending scene is just incredible cinematography and acting. It was basically a chef's kiss on one of the best overall acting performances I've ever seen by a cast. And this scene became so iconic that I just remember throughout my childhood, my dad, if we got a package at the house, would scream, "What's in the box?" And I knew what he was talking about because I've seen the movie. This is something that is carried over to my house today. My daughter has never seen this movie. I don't know if I'll let her watch it ever, but anytime we get an Amazon package, if there's something that I don't know what's in the box, I yell out what's in the box. So just for the memories from growing up, because it's something I still say today, makes my number 4. Mark, I know you said you're not a horror guy. Did you ever watch the movie Seven?
Oh, yeah, yeah, I watched it, I liked it, I
Okay.
guess I sounded maybe I'm incorrect in my statement, I wouldn't watch well, I probably wouldn't watch that alone,
Okay.
but it's not somebody after who could be after anyone, um,
That's true. I have
so
watched that movie probably 10 times, to be honest.
yeah, it's not Jason or Freddy Krueger who may come after me that night, so
That's a
I
good point.
guess, but yeah, I did love it, and I've got a funny story about that actual movie,
Yeah.
I liked it so well that I can't remember what streaming service it was, but at that time, you could order a movie online, and it was shortly
Yeah.
after it came out. I can't remember how we would order it, but I took it we went and sat with some friends of mine at their house to watch it. They had never seen it. And as the box is presented, but you don't know what yet is in it, the power goes
Mhm.
out. And it does not come back on, and I told him, "You're just gonna have to wait till we can watch that again somehow to learn what's in the box." I would not tell him what was in the box.
Oh, wow. That's kinda
It was
cold
an
that you would
excellent moment of the
I mean, it
power
was.
going out at the perfect moment. They didn't get to find out what was in the box till a
Well,
few days later. It was great.
I will not again, because we have kids that listen to this, I won't mention what's in the box, but for those of you that know, you know. With that, Mark, I'll kick it back to you. What was your number 3 movie quote?
The number 3 for me, it comes from a show called or a movie, True Romance, Christian Slater, 1993 as well. Are you familiar with it?
I have never heard of this in my life.
Oh, man. So, that is an all-star cast. I would recommend you watch it. It's got it has like, I would say, and I wondered when we would touch on this, there are entire movies that are just the best quotes. People know
Mhm.
the entire movie.
Yeah.
Tombstone. People can quote and any so many quotes of Tombstone could have made my list, but
Yeah.
they don't have that extra umph of
Mhm.
personal for me. Young Guns, Pulp Fiction. People can quote those entire movies, and if you watch True Romance, I think you'll watch it again and again and again. It's got Patricia Arquette, it's got Christian Slater, and this is from memory. I didn't make notes here. It has Dennis Hopper, it has
Uh-huh.
Christopher Walken, it has, James Gandolfini, and it is there's there are so many, and I have one friend, Steve Markham. He and I, when we run into each other, and this is something else I wanted to mention on your podcast. I think this is a do you agree this is a man thing? It's not a female thing?
With movie quotes?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, yeah,
Unequivocally.
and I realized that talking about all these movies, my wife did not get it. She's like, "I don't have one popular quote. What is wrong with you all?" And people have it to where it's like an ailment and an illness.
Yeah.
And when Steve and I see each other, 30% of our conversation is in movie quotes. I'll actually reply to him in a movie quote, and so many of them will come from True Romance. But this one is, if there's one thing this week, or if there's one thing this last week has taught me, and then the quote is, "It's better to have a gun and not need it than to need a gun and not have it."
Oof.
And that's been said in variations in other shows, in other
Yeah.
movies, and but I use that as advice. I will use
Yeah.
that exact quote, not the leading up to it, because who knows what happened this week, but it's better to have a gun and not need it than to need a gun and not have it. I say that
Yeah.
often. It's great advice. And it's just something that, it's kinda like the killing me smalls. You're killing I say this one a lot. I
Yeah.
hear people say it as a quote, as a cliche, and
Mhm.
it's such true advice, but it's also a favorite of mine because it gets said anytime that I talk to
Yeah.
my friend Steve, and yeah, we just speak mainly in movie quotes whenever we're around one another. That's always one of them. So definitely in my top 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only person I can think of the female variety that will communicate back to me in movie quotes is actually my wife. And that is something that I absolutely love about her is she will yell movie quotes at me. But otherwise, everybody that I do like the movie quotes thing with, definitely male friends of mine. So I'm with you. I think it's predominantly a male dominated field when we talk about these movie quotes. My number 3, I went to 1992 for mine, and this is A Few Good Men, and I think it's one of the greatest court dramas of all time. And part of that is because we get one of the greatest movie monologues and the most epic crash outs in film history. And Jack Nicholson, who plays Colonel Jessup, was in his bag in this movie. And this epic showdown between him and Tom Cruise in the courtroom is just a masterclass in film. And during examination, Cruise demands to know the truth, and Nicholson screams, "You can't handle the truth." He then launches into a monologue that I won't go fully in detail on because one, it's better in its totality if you watch it, and two, goes a little aggressive on the language. However, this is one that's an epic scene I'll never forget. That just whole scene in A Few Good Men is epic for me. It's my number three. Uncle Mark, is that a movie that you're familiar with?
Oh, very. Yeah, and that quote, that one is one where I wondered as I pondered all these, and this might be a moment. You're old enough though; you're going to know these. Like, do you know who said "You talking to me"?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Robert De Niro in Taxi.
Oh, okay. I have not seen Taxi, but I'm familiar with the quote.
Or it's Taxi Driver, sorry.
Yeah.
But so I grew up on those, and like what you just said, a few, you can't handle the truth. That's going to be parodied. Everybody knows it currently, and I
Mhm.
don't know if it'll stand the test of time. But for now, and who knows, for the next 50 years, it may stick. But it could be
Yeah,
like the "You talking to me" was one I wondered if you would have heard, or "Here's looking at you, kid." Have you ever heard that?
I have. It's said so you're naming ones that I've heard that I don't even know what they're from. So you're right, they stand the test of time, they go beyond the movie. Because 'cause I've heard both of those numerous times in my life, couldn't have told you what movie they're from.
Well, and the one I wonder now, I think it's had enough time, is if people even know who Adrian is if someone says, "Yo, Adrian." I
I
bet they don't even know who Adrian is, but some of them, they're gonna just stick. That one probably will stick because, and you don't need to know where it came from.
Yeah.
People are
Well
gonna say, "Here, say hello to my little friend," and they don't know who they're saying hello to or what his little friend was.
well, I'm gonna throw a plug in here. Have you seen the movie Project Hail Mary yet?
I have not seen that yet.
I think you would enjoy it. It's definitely a sci-fi movie. Ryan Gosling's in it, and I bring it up because there's a Rocky Adrian reference in the movie that Madison and I got, but I don't think Nora got. But fantastic movie. Honestly, family-friendly movie. I think there's not any profanity in it. PG-13 just for violence. I mean, there's like space violence. It's a sci-fi action thriller, but fantastic movie. I know you said you don't watch a lot of fiction now, but I would highly encourage you to check it out. Probably one of the best movies I've seen in the last 5 to 10 years.
Oh yeah, I definitely would. Like, I'll go to the movies with my wife and with the grandkids. So just on my own time. A lot of people, if you're watching something just sitting around, I guess
Yeah.
when I'm home alone, if I'm watching something alone, it's not. It probably wouldn't be fictional. But no, I just went. That'll be something I close this out with. Is a recent movie I went and watched.
Okay.
And, yeah, yeah. So definitely one I need to go see. That sounds good.
It was fantastic. Well, with that, let me kick it back to you. What's your number 2 on your list today?
Number two, and as you noticed, a trait that I realize I have that I wondered would happen today, and I already realized it did a few minutes ago. It's like I speak at those Chamber events, and if I'm speaking about something I care about, I almost always cry. I don't know, and I cannot control it. It's not
That's
a
okay.
trait that I like. It
Listen,
almost happened on the
your,
500
uh,
due
your
due to
brother, my
thinking of
dad,
dad.
has the same problem. If I
Really?
don't know if you remember my wedding, but he cried through his whole best man speech. So my dad
Yeah.
breaks out in tears all the time.
Okay. Well,
So
the next 2 might do that. I'll try to
that's
keep
okay.
it keeper. This one, my number 1, extremely important to me.
Okay.
This one is, have you seen G.I. Jane?
I have. I'll be honest. I don't remember quotes from it, but I've seen it. It's been a long time.
Okay. The guy, Viggo Mortensen, he plays, the Master Chief John James, Urgale. I'm reading that one, of course, and at the beginning of it, he says it, and then it ends the movie with it. It's the biggest one they bring around. It's a great bring it back to you,
Hmm.
and he quotes it at the beginning, and you have no idea why. It seems weird, makes no sense, and he says, "I never saw a wild thing sorry for itself. A small bird will drop frozen dead from a bough without ever having felt sorry for itself." And then they don't really tell you anything else. He's a drill instructor to be a, Navy SEAL or whatever J.I. Jane is attempting to be.
Hmm.
Um, I haven't watched that movie a lot. I will tell you, I did watch it again just to see if I felt as I did with it. I wanted to see if it still made me as emotional as it did. And the
Yeah.
reason I like it so well, it's actually a poem. That's a very well known poem by D.H. Lawrence. He wrote it in 1929 called Self Pity.
Hmm.
Now, I didn't research why he wrote it. It's just what it means to me. I've always, when I heard that the very first time, when I saw that at the movies, it made me think of people who you're sitting there with them and they're freezing to death, and you don't know if they're cold. They're so tough. To me, they're that tough. You're cold. They're cold. Are they really cold? You're wondering if they are. And they would fall over dead before they admitted they were even cold, just like this bird he described.
Yeah.
And I've always felt that way about my oldest daughter, Rachel. I've actually put that together and sent it to her in certain things. And definitely, I feel that way about my wife, Diana.
Yeah.
Um, they're just and it's like a good stubborn. They're not gonna feel sorry for themselves. They're gonna reset and make the best of it. And, you're not gonna know they're having a bad day. They're not taking it out on anybody. They're both great at that, the stubbornness. But why it's really became even more important to me is my granddaughter, Chloe. She's adopted, been brought on by Bailey, Diana's youngest daughter. And she is exactly like that. When I see her and when I hear that quote now in that poem, she resets like no one. She's had a terrible, terrible life leading up to getting out of the home she was in, and she's so resilient. When she faces something, things don't go her way. She can just reset. She's the most resilient human I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I think of her, I think of that poem, often, and just having the ability for that reset button. It's not with her now, it's not so much the stubbornness as it is not feeling sorry for yourself and making the best of whatever situation you're in, just get on with it and get happy with it, and
Yeah.
they all 3 just exemplify that, so I love that quote due to that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was looking up this poem as you were mentioning it, and according now this is according to allpoetry.com. So I don't know a whole lot about allpoetry.com. It seems pretty legit, but they give the analysis that that poem that's mentioned in the movie contrasts the human emotional vulnerability with the perceived emotional stoicism of animals, suggesting that self-pity is a uniquely human failing. And basically saying like animals are too busy to worry about like you said, are they cold or whatever else? And that you're right, some people just have this ability to, for lack of a better term, embrace the suck and just keeping a positive attitude and just keep going when everything's falling apart. And those are definitely some people to look up to. So sounds like you got 3 very close women to you in your life that show that trait. So good for them and good for you to get to see that played out in real time. Mine, not as you know, kind of a heavy feeling, or not heavy feeling, but like more of that emotional tie-in as yours was for number 2. So my number 2 is just one of my favorite films of all time. It's gonna be the longest quote I read because I'm gonna read somebody's speech here. But one of my favorite films as my entire childhood was 1996's Independence Day. If I've got there's an episode potentially coming up in mind where there's gonna be one, I won't dive into what that episode topic is, but this will probably make that list. There's a scene where everybody is about to go to war, this famous battle with the aliens in the movie. And the United States president in the movie is played by Bill Pullman. And he gives the greatest speech by a president, in my opinion, in any movie ever. And this is what he says. He says, "Good morning. In less than an hour, aircraft from here will join others from around the world, and you will be launching the largest aerial battle in the history of mankind. Mankind. That word should have a new meaning for all of us today. We can't be consumed by our petty differences anymore. We will be united in our common interests. Perhaps it's fate that today is the 4th of July and you will again be fighting for our freedom, not from tyranny, oppression, or persecution, but from annihilation. We're fighting for our right to live, to exist. And should we win this day, the 4th of July will no longer be known as an American holiday, but as the day when the world declared in one voice, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today we celebrate our Independence Day." And Mark, I got to tell you, as a 10-year-old kid, I remember we're sitting near the front of the movie theater. My parents took me. I don't remember. I think Amanda might have been with obviously some grandparents. My mom and dad took me just to see a movie, have a day with me. I'm in that front row of the theater, and I would have leapt through the screen and fought the aliens. I was so fired up. I have shown this movie to Nora. She was a huge fan of 96's Independence Day. I think the acting is fantastic. And I think that is just, again, in my opinion, you have a lot of movies where there's a president in the movie. I think it's the greatest presidential quote in a movie. I think it's very inspiring. It also just has this whole tie in of not having people separated by petty differences and about us in life facing together to take on challenges. And I just love the whole mantra. So, Mark, I got to ask, did you ever see Independence Day back in 96?
Oh, yeah, and I thought you would add into that there. You coulda went either way. I don't remember exactly what he said to his son. I'm sure you're familiar with the scene. Another scene that helped you wanna fight the aliens, I'd say, is when the dad who is he's usually plays the comedic part, Randy Quaid, is that who it is?
I think it is, yes.
And he sacrifices himself to blow
Hmm.
up the mothership, and he knows he's gonna have to do it when the last bomb or the last missile won't launch on the it's
Yeah.
a scene you see in so many movies, and he's a comedic guy, and
Uh huh.
that's a great moment. It leads up it just adds to why you wanted to jump in the screen and fight those aliens.
The only quote I will say from that, because some of it's got some salty language, but he says, "Tell my kids I love them," and, yeah, that I can visualize that scene as you're saying it. That is we talk about, like, core memories from our childhood. That movie was a core memory for mine. So,
Well, yeah, because the son's in the room. He hears that his dad's
yeah.
missile wouldn't go off, and he knows what he's doing.
Yep, and doing it for them and, kind of his whole character arc is just fantastic from a guy who's just fallen apart to a guy that's gonna save the world. Well, Mark, I'm gonna kick it to you. I'm gonna ask your number 1. I will ask, do you have any honorable mentions? If you wanna fire those out before your number 1, or if you wanna mention them afterwards, or if you have none, that's fine too, but I'll hand things back to you.
Yeah, a big honorable mention for me, where I said I struggled, to come up with my top 5. So
Yeah.
I've got a couple, I'll keep them short.
Okay.
For me, it's the voice, "Oh, you think darkness is your ally,"
Oh,
when Tom Hardy's
yes.
playing Bane. W
Yes.
we've took headphones for our sawmill or to protect the ear, and we'll put them on as if we're Bane and say that. We run around, I'll say it to Maddie because she gets frustrated with it, my youngest daughter. Um, his voice in that and the whole thing where he says the everything he says after and what I wondered what would break first, your body or your mind or your body. Um,
Yes.
I love that one. Now's Yous Can't Leave. Have you ever heard that?
I have not. I will tell you just really quick, the one you mentioned about Bane, that originally was on my list. It got bumped, so that would be my number 6. So that's an honorable mention
Oh,
for me.
yeah. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
a tough time.
Uh-huh.
Now Jews Can't Leave, that is where these bikers come into a bar, and I don't even know the actor's name. It's a mobster movie, The Bronx Tale is. Robert De Niro's in it, but he's not the
Mhm.
main character. It's about his son, and he's running around with these older guys that are the wrong crowd. These bikers come into a bar, all the mobsters are there. They think that they're the tough guys, the bikers. The mobsters ask them so politely to leave, they won't. Finally, they get too rowdy, and that guy walks over. He locks the door, and everybody looks at him. He turns around and says, "We asked you to leave, but now yous can't leave." And then they just, they're not the tough guys in the room. Or we will fight in the shade. The 300.
Yeah, that's a
Uh,
good one.
the the funniest one, which I laugh so hard, I almost put this in my top 5. When Ben Affleck's Batman, and he's with that guy that's real fast, and he says, "Now what's your superpower again?" And he looks at him and says, "I'm rich." I think that just sums up, Batman. It was
It does.
I've never laughed that hard, but this one, yeah, I'm glad we do the honorable mention because the other one is and it cusses, so I'll try to have it out there right, but it's movie scene. So if you do a movie scene, this would be it. Have you ever seen Hacksaw Ridge?
I have, yes.
Yeah, where he tells him the day before, where he tells Private Doss, "You're gonna have to go up on this mountain. I know it's your Sabbath."
Mhm.
Because these guys don't believe like you believe, but they believe in how much you believe. And
Oh,
so the next
yes.
day, yeah, and it's 2 days. It's 3 actors, 2 days of scenes, and that general or whoever calls and says, "Why haven't you taken that mountain?" And he says, "We're waiting on Private Doss to pray." And that guy yells, "Who the H is Private Doss?" And
Yes.
he's held up the entire war. That's just, Those are just such great scenes. So anyway, those are my honorable mentions, but the big one for me is, and I'll have a hard time getting through this one. As I mentioned, I'm a recovered addict.
Mhm.
So, and there's my grandson in the background, Jack. That's I'm doing a podcast, Jack. So this has been a favorite movie of mine since I watched it. When I watched it, it was a very favorite movie of mine. But none of this mattered till later, where I said I'm a recovered addict. Benjamin Button. The what is the full name of the movie? The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Have you seen it with Brad Pitt?
Yeah, don't listen to an episode that Madison and I did where it's our least favorite movies. Don't listen to that one.
Oh, well, that's all right. I love the movie. It's 2008, and he
Mhm.
writes a letter to his daughter. And everyone thinks that that is written by, who is the famous guy? For what it's worth, there's a very famous, author. Everyone attributes this to him, and he didn't write this. He didn't write it at
Yeah.
all. It's a very short version, and instead, the writer, Eric Roth, he says, "For what it's worth, it's never too late, or in my case, too early," which only makes sense if you're watching the movie, which
Yeah.
it sounds like you don't like, but, in my case, too early, to be whoever you want to be. There's no time limit. Start whenever you want. You can change or stay the same.
Mm.
There are no rules to this thing. We can make the best or the worst of it. I hope you make the best of it. I hope you see things that startle you. I hope you feel things you've never felt before. And then the part that's most important for me is I hope you meet people who have a different point of view, and I hope you live a life you're proud of.
Mhm.
And if you're not, I hope you have the courage to start all over again. And um, I was really struggling. I tried to beat addiction so many times, and it didn't. I failed so many times.
Yeah.
And my daughter Rachel, I don't even know if she knows I like that movie. Yeah, we don't think we ever discussed it. I have no idea if she even knows I like it. I don't even know if she knows. I can't recall if we sent that to each other. If I
Yeah.
sent it to her to pick her up one time, I may have, but it wasn't one that was enough where she and I like say it to each other by any means.
Yeah.
And one time when I was really down I'd really messed up. I'd probably been in jail a few times. I don't know. It was a terrible moment in my life, and I was really trying again, and I just didn't feel like anybody was helping out. And she sent me that, and when she sent it to me, that last sentence, it just did so much for me. I've offered it to
Yeah.
other addicts when I meet with them, and if you're not living a life you're proud of, it's never too late. And I hope you
Mhm.
have the courage to start over again. So that hangs on my wall. I like that one so well. I made it into a painting and it hangs on my wall as you walk up my steps.
That's awesome. Well, that is definitely some motivation for anybody that's going through anything. I mean, whether that's, you're going through something with like addiction, you're going through something with like relationship problems, health battles, whatever it is, that yeah, like there's decisions you can make and you can change your circumstances. So I think you're talking about that today, that you were able to take that quote and actually live that and see that play out in your own life. And I gotta say, Mark, my number one's gonna be really hard to top that one because yours was very heartfelt and, has a big tie into your life. My number one, not really as heartfelt, just something that inspires me. And for anybody that listened to the top five favorite sports movies, they know that, or they had to know that something from Remember the Titans had to be coming for my list. And Remember the Titans, totally quotable movie. You got Left Side, Strong Side, the hospital scene where they're talking about growing up together and there being no black and white. And I think that this is one of the most quotable sports movies of all time. But the one scene that sticks out more than any others. And they're in the Northern Virginia Regional Championship game. And the refs and the officials have a conspiracy going to cheat the Titans out of the game. And the Titans assistant coach, played by Will Patton, has had enough. After confronting the refs and threatening to go to the papers for their actions, he goes into what I think is the greatest monologue in sports history. And he tells his team this: "Now, I don't want them to gain another yard. You blitz all night. If they cross the line of scrimmage, I'm going to take every last one of you out. You make sure they remember forever the night they played the Titans. Leave no doubt." And just reading that makes me want to run through the drywall in my house right now. Like, I just wanna run through a wall. I have watched this movie I don't know how many times. When I was running cross country, our coach would put it on in the van or the vehicle we were in for every meet that we went to. So probably in high school alone, I watched this movie 50 times. This scene, I've watched it hundreds of times. I can quote it. Um, just a cinematic masterpiece. And you talked about in your number one about a quote that wanted to push you in a different direction. And for me, this is a quote that I watch when I'm going through tough stuff in my life, whether it's something that I know that just needs to be done physically, personally, professionally. And I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I just don't know if I got it in me. This is one I queue up because I just love that. Like, you got to do this. Like, leave no doubt. You're going to go out, you're going to accomplish whatever this mission or goal is. I was doing a wounded warrior fundraiser, guess like a couple years ago, and I was doing this bike ride where every 4 hours I had to hop on the bike and ride 8 miles, and it was something that I had queued up almost at the start of every 4 hours. When I got up, that alarm went off, and I was like, "I don't wanna do this," but I was like, "I gotta blitz all night. I gotta get on this bike and just keep pushing," so that's one for me that has just carried over through my life, through my running days, through other events, so not as good as your number one, Uncle Mark, but the one that left a mark on me. I gotta ask you, you gave your honorable mentions. Are there any other ones we're leaving out here today? Any that were close on your list?
I'm gonna guess because movies a few people got real excited when they heard I was doing this. One is my nephew, Diana's nephew, Jason. Big, huge movie guy, Steve Markham. He's gonna be upset. The guy I told you that we quote, shoot, True Romance and Pulp
Yeah.
Fiction, and not be. I need to make sure that it's a lie. It's better to be dead and uncool than than alive and cool. Yeah, there are so many that were missed that as people listen to them, that our friends or loved ones of your and I's, I'm sure we'll hear we forgot them. But
Yeah.
nah, I thought this was great. I enjoyed rewatching them. I made sure to watch a few of them. But
I
the
did
one I
too.
was gonna tell you, we said there I said that I don't watch fictional stuff. Well, I wouldn't watch it alone, but I do enjoy, like, the Star Wars, and I love the Mandalorian series.
Mhm.
It's kinda cheesy, but it's still great and all in one, however that's possible. It's like Power Rangers for grown-ups or something. My wife loves it as well. She doesn't really like Star Wars, but she loves The Mandalorian. She's who encouraged me to go watch it with her. Her and I went
Mhm.
and watched the new one, and that one would move somewhere as I get further away from the emotions, and maybe I never will, of, like, addiction. These things change, like you said, they as
Yeah.
in your life, they change, and this one, I think, would hold the test of time. I can't share it, though. I won't spoil it, but
Okay.
Mando in the new movie says a definite top 5. His tagline is, "This is the way." Have you seen the new movie yet?
So I have not seen anything Star Wars since the first original 3.
Oh, wow. Well, okay. Well, The Mandalorian's a spinoff, which I think you've discussed it with other guys.
Yeah.
Um, and his tagline is "This is the way." I see so many business associates of mine, people in high positions I email with that have "This is the way" in their email signature.
Yeah.
It's wildly popular, and he in that movie says it's my most favorite one-line quote from a movie. Just standing on its own in a quote from a movie, but you have to watch it to know it.
Okay. Well, hey, you are now the second person to tell me I need to check this thing out. So the recommendations for it are stacking up. But Uncle Mark, I really appreciate you jumping on here with me today and going down a trip down memory lane with me on some of the movies and talking about your businesses and all the great things you're doing in the community. And for everybody listening, thank you all for tuning in. If you've not done so yet, like, subscribe, leave the podcast a 5-star review. If you have a suggestion for a topic you'd like us to cover, again, this was one that was a listener suggested topic. You can send those topics in to generationalfave5@gmail.com. That's generational, FAVE, the number 5 at gmail.com. Thank you all for tuning in.